Hi, I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Good morning, this is Jonathan Small, host and producer of All About You. This show is broadcast every single week at Access TV Studios in downtown Hartford. This show is designed to give the guest a chance to give his or her life story, and most times we might get into a particular topic or issue. All About You can be pretty much about the person, the issue, any particular topic. This morning I have a very interesting guest. He is considered an elder pastor here in the greater Hartford area. His name is Nora Wyatt. Good morning, Nora Wyatt. How you doing?
Johnson, I'm doing fine. Great in the Lord.
Okay, that's
good to be here.
Right. Could you kind of let people know exactly where you was born and raised at?
I was born, really interesting. I was born in Galveston, Texas. But I, before my parents, my relatives, came to a place called the Junction. It was called the Settlement. And it went from the Settlement to Buttermilk Junction. And it went from Buttermilk Junction to, which is now Texas City, Texas.
Okay.
Is where I was raised, and that's probably like 17 miles from Galveston. And so that's where I was born and raised, in Galveston and Texas City, Texas.
Okay. Yeah. What was it like growing up in that area of the country?
Well, when I grew up, when I came up, one thing for sure is it was a lot different than now. It was a lot of segregation was in full bloom. You didn't have, you knew how folk felt. It wasn't a secret. They had the little, I don't know if Pastor Stan remember, they had the little black sound bowls.
Yes. In
the yards, and you knew that wasn't a welcome spot for you. And so just growing up to me was kind of like normal. We did the things that was available at that time, which it wasn't much, Probably one of the biggest things that going on at that time, they had a movie theater that they had to walk a couple of 5 miles to get to. But rather than that, there wasn't a lot to do, especially in the African American community, because it was, at that time, like I say, it was the civil rights movement was in full force. Dr. King, and that movement was going strong, and most of us that were around at that time did have an opportunity to participate in a lot of the sit-ins and protests as far as the many rights that people were fighting for.
Did you have any aspirations of leaving Texas or just staying there and trying to make it better?
I did a lot of work. I had aspirations of not so much as staying there, but I wanted to have a voice in making things better.
Okay.
And so my activism is not something that I started when I come to Hartford.
Yes.
Even as a young teen, in my early 19, 20 years old, I was active in the city in Lamar, Texas. It's called. I went to school called Lincoln High School, which was the first African American or black school in the city, and they tore it down, and it was really an historical landmark that we were trying to get them to leave for people to come and prepare, and for people to come and visit and see what we went through and how our school was built. And so I did a lot of protests, and I did a lot of marches, a lot of meetings with officials to try to get that accomplished. But at that time, also, you have to understand that people of color, black men, didn't have the heart and that's just a fact. Because of the fear factor of what could happen, of the retaliation that could come upon them if they, rose up and showed their. So I had to try to galvanize that. Had to try to give them the courage, don't be afraid, because then you protest and you look across the street and you had a group of white police, not black, white police, and some with the, still with their swimming trunks on.
Yeah, okay.
and they were there to intimidate and to make threats. But I still went through with a lot of those things, and so it's kind of like a second nature to me to try to be involved. And so I did a lot of things trying to make things better in the city, in that place at that time.
Okay. Well, what was your time span that you actually spent growing up in Texas?
I spent my time in Texas until I was, well, I put it like this, I left Texas in 1975.
Okay.
Yeah, that was from 1943 until 1975. I was in Texas. I left Texas in 1975.
Where did you go after you left Texas in 1975?
When I left Texas, I went to, let me see, where did I go? I went to Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in Los Angeles, California. I had a brother that lived there. And so my wife and I, we moved to California and didn't have a place to live, but we moved there. And I worked for another community organization called WLCAC, Watch Labor Community Action Council in Los Angeles, and did some of the same thing. I've always somehow been involved in, community activities and things trying to make places better, even there in Los Angeles. And so I worked for that group. And when I left Los Angeles, in Los Angeles, I was the pastor of evangelism for McCauley Memorial Baptist Church, where the Reverend Dr. R.A. Williams is the pastor. And I left there to go to, I went to Michigan, went to Detroit. Moved to Detroit, and I went to Detroit, and I moved to Pontiac, Michigan, where I pastored a church there, St. James Missionary Baptist Church in Pontiac, Michigan. And I was there until I moved to Hartford. And I came to Hartford from Pontiac, Michigan to Hartford, to where I am today, to where we are today. And I think it was in 1984, I think, because we've been here, I've been here almost 30 years.
Well, how long did you actually live in Los Angeles?
I was in Los Angeles from 75 until, I think it was like 81, I think, somewhere in that, 75 to 81, somewhere in that vicinity. Yeah.
Well, you really didn't spend that much time comparable to growing up in Texas, and as long as you've been living here in Hartford. So you went from Los Angeles to 75 to 81, and then you went to Pontiac from 81 to 84.
Right.
Did you like Los Angeles? Did you like Pontiac?
Oh, I like Los Angeles. And sometime in life, you sit back, and Pastor Dan probably, you can sit back and you can look back in hindsight and say, you know what, maybe that's a move I shouldn't have made at the time.
Right.
And I was, kind of anxious, wasn't as mature, in certain things that I am today. And, got excited by certain things. And so there was a pastor in Pontiac, in Inkster, Michigan, named Dr. J. Herbert Hinkle. And he pastored the largest church in the city, which is called the Cathedral of Faith at that time. And so he was friend with my pastor in Los Angeles.
Yes.
And so when he came to Los Angeles, he saw the work that I was doing at McCoy as a pastor of evangelism. We were developing our own Sunday school literature and all that kind of stuff. So he said, well, why don't you come to Michigan? And so I went.
Yeah.
And did the same thing at his church. But when I look at hindsight, I should have stayed where I was. But at the time, so I made that decision. So you know, I said, if I make a decision, then I'm gonna be committed to it. And so I stayed, but I really liked Los Angeles. Los Angeles, it was, you know, you didn't have to worry about what you wanted in Los Angeles.
Okay.
You know, whatever time of day or night, you know, it was available. And when in Texas City, you know, after a certain time of night, everything, you know, everything closed up, you know. And I used to joke about it. I used to tell the guy that they had one street light on the street where I lived, and that was and my mother's, the street that I lived on, my parents lived on, was called 122 Thelma Lane, and they named that little street after my mother. And so they had one street light, and I used to tell them we used to lay out at night and talk and tell lies and tales under that street light in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to worry, your chance of getting an airplane falling on you was before a car hit you. And so that's what we did. We spent a lot of time, you know, because there wasn't a lot to do. And so we spent a lot of time, a couple of fellows, we get together, and we had, you know, we'd stay out there and do that kind of stuff, and then it got dark, we go in the house. Yeah.
Well, you think Texas kind of shaped your life more than Los Angeles and Pontiac before you came here to Hartford?
I think Texas kind of, I got focused in Texas. I knew what I wanted to do. I know what I would like to be involved in. You know, I always had that zeal, you know, a concern for people, you know, a natural affection for people and their rights and having justice and trying to, you know, perpetuate that kind of spirit that people would actually take, not wait for folk to lay it on the table, but actually put forth an honest effort to get things done and change. So that's been my even today, you know, that's, you know, and what I do is, that's my basis, my foundation is to make a contribution, you know, for when I leave here. That's what I say, you know, Nora, Wyatt, you know, we called him crazy, he did this, he did that, but if not for, you know, a lot of things wouldn't have happened. Yeah.
Well, you came to Hartford, a smaller city, in 1984, comparable definitely to Los Angeles. What was that like now coming to New England?
Well, when I came to New England, it was cold. Yeah, so I had never seen snow, cold weather like it is here. And prior to the last big snowstorm they had, I think it was in 1987 or something like that, they had another big storm here in Hartford, which was when you walk down the sidewalk, you couldn't see what was on the other side because the snow was so high. But Hartford has been an interesting place, and still is, you know, because of the, you know, just the normal lifestyle, and then the Hartford politics.
Yes.
And I haven't held an office per se, but as a soldier, I've held an office here in Hartford from a political standpoint of view, because along with my good friend back there on that camera, we have fought many battles here in Hartford for the right of people, education, you know, jobs, you know, housing, violence, you know, you name it. And I've been involved in it. So Hartford is it's a place that, with all of the development, has a long ways to go, because there's still a lot of that old separation, so to speak, still here in Hartford as far as, you know, black-white situations are concerned.
Have you seen any different or worse or better comparable to Pontiac or Los Angeles?
I would say those places, believe it or not, were somewhat more culturally involved and vast than even in Hartford, because, you know, people, you know, we had relationship with people of Caucasian, the black community, and it didn't seem to have that kind. Hartford has to me, has always had this, was fake.
Okay.
I live in Hartford, so you're supposed to. But Hartford was always kind of like, you say one thing, but they would do totally something else, and so they tell you that you're welcome, but really, they tell you, well, we go post it, we go run your ad, but we lost. Somehow it got lost and never got happen. So Hartford, so back in Texas, in Pontiac, Michigan, those places, it was a little different. People weren't as bold, even in projecting their racism or how they really feel. People kind of more or less kind of came together and got along pretty well,
Okay. Well, that's going to actually have to be your last words for this particular show. I had enjoyed having you on this show, and you had a very interesting story to tell. Again, this is Jonathan Small, host of All About You, and this program can be seen on accesstv.org network. And as I say every single week, have a very blessed day and keep the faith. Thank you.